The original Wicker Man is the greatest folk horror movie ever made. Let's do it. The Wicker Man is about this police officer, Sergeant Neil Howie, and he goes to the remote island of Summer Isle one day because he got this anonymous letter that this little girl named Rowan Morrison was missing. So this is a very tiny island where everybody knows everybody, so he starts showing people pictures of Rowan and they're like, nope, never seen her, but they kind of like give each other one of these behind him. So Howie begins to explore this island and he is just immediately disturbed by what he sees, like the churches are all falling apart and aren't used, and he is a devout Christian. He can't understand this. He stays at this inn where the innkeeper's daughter straight up tries to seduce him, and he's absolutely horrified because he's like, I don't believe in that sort of thing until marriage. He's also walking around the island and casually strolls upon an orgy just out in the open. Now, in the same inn, he finds this series of photos hanging up, and each one is of the annual Harvest Festival. And each one is a photo of the young girl who was crowned May Queen at that Harvest Festival, but he realizes that last year's is missing. When he asks about it, the innkeeper just tells him, oh, it broke. So the next day, Howie goes to the local school where he finds the girls being taught about how the maypole is a phallic symbol. So he jumps in and he's like, what is wrong with you people? You're fornicating out in the open. Now you're teaching the kids about dicks. You guys are all deviants here. You should be more Christian. So he asks the girls and their teacher about Rowan Morrison, but they all deny her. They don't know her. They've never seen her. He finds the school's register and just takes it by force out of the teacher's hand and finds Rowan's name in there. And the teacher ends up telling him, okay, we did have a Rowan, but she died. Here's where her grave is, and he goes to it. So he's confused as fuck at this point, but the Islanders throughout this whole thing have been telling him about Lord Summer Isle, who is like their patriarch. Nothing happens on this island without Lord Summer Isle's okay. So Howie goes to Lord Summer Isle, played by Sir Christopher Lee, by the way, a legend, an icon. He asks him for permission to exhume Rowan Morrison's body. This is after he already went to the town records and there's no record about her dying or how she died. Lord Summer Isle doesn't immediately give him permission, but instead he explains the lore and the history of the island. So basically back in the 1800s, Lord Summer Isle's great-great-grandfather developed this strain of fruit tree that was supposed to thrive in Scotland's climate. And his grandfather also believed that if they worshipped the old gods, it would help with having a plentiful, bountiful harvest. Doing that actually worked, so the whole town converted to paganism, and that's what they still practice today. Now Howie, who has clearly never met a non-Christian person in his life apparently, is fucking bewildered by this. He literally wants to arrest Lord Summer Isle for this. He's like, oh, you pagan. That's why the churches and stuff were all decrepit and non-used, because there's no Christians on this island anymore. Howie's like, okay, thanks for that, you sinner. I'm gonna go exhume the body now. When Howie exhumes the grave, he does not find the body of a child, he finds a dead rabbit. Eventually, he also finds that missing photo from the inn of the Harvest Festival, and sure enough, the May Queen from last harvest was Rowan. But whereas in the previous year's photos, there's fruit and crops and all this plentiful harvest, in Rowan's pictures, there's nothing, so the harvest failed the year prior. So Howie does some research and finds some information about this pagan harvest festival. And everybody in this festival is assigned a role. So somebody's a fool, somebody's the man-woman. And in this festival, there will be a human sacrifice if the crops fail to ensure the crops grow back. So now Howie gets it. He's like, Rowan's alive and they're going to sacrifice her at the festival. So the next day is May Day, the day of the festival, and Howie decides that he has to go back to the mainland to get help. When he goes back to his seaplane, because that's the only way on or off the island, he finds that it is destroyed so that it can't fly out, and the radio inside of it has been destroyed as well. So basically, he's fucked. So Howie goes back to the inn where he tells the innkeeper and his daughter that he's going to take a nap, but they try to light this candle that would knock Howie out. He puts out the candle in time and then attacks and knocks out the innkeeper and steals his festival costume. His costume, by the way, his role in the festival is Punch the Fool. The parade begins and Howie infiltrates it and acts as the fool. Now Lord Summer Isle is leading the festival and he's playing the role of the man-woman in this long luscious wig, and he's dancing through the streets giving it his all, and he literally looks at everybody and is like, ugh, you call that dancing? Put your heart into it. This is not his first time in drag. Now eventually the festival gets to this cave where sure enough Rowan comes out tied up. Howie runs to her and unties her and the two of them flee inside the cave. They manage to make it through the cave to the other side where they come face to face with Lord Summer Isle and some other islanders. These motherfuckers look at Rowan and they're like, good job, Rowan. Come on, sweetie. And she runs to them happily because this was all part of the fucking plan. And Lord Summerisle looks at Howie and is like, oh, honey, she was never the sacrifice. You are. And the reason they chose him is because he fits the 4 requirements of the gods. 1, he came to the island of his own free will. He just needed a little coercion with the letter. 2, he has the power of a god given to him through the authority of being a police officer. 3, he's a virgin. And 4, he's a fool because he fell for it. And they knew he would steal the innkeeper's outfit, and that's why he was dressed as the fool. And that's when they drag him up the cliff and reveal the Wicker Man. In a last-ditch effort, Howie tries to tell the islanders, like, your crops are failing because of the climate here. Like, it has nothing to do with sacrifices or the gods. He tells Summerisle when they fail next year, they're going to sacrifice you instead. But all the islanders are like, we don't care. The islanders force Howie into the Wicker Man, which is also full of animals, and they light it on fire. The islanders then surround the Wicker Man and do this little dance and sing this folk song like the Who's around the Christmas tree on Christmas morning. And Howie burns to death in the Wicker Man while reciting a Bible verse as the sun comes up, and he dies a virgin, and the movie ends.